Welcome to readtheticker.com. This video is really for Wyckoff logic lovers. I'm going to show you something where you won't get anywhere else. As part of our RTT Plus service, we have a blog called RTTWC, which is called Richard Wyckoff, well, RTT Wyckoff Campaign Blog. Within this blog we have a menu structure, and within the menu structure we have the original Wyckoff work. The Richard D. Wyckoff method of trading and investing in stocks. This is the original course sold to students from Mr. Wyckoff and Bob Evans. Now, in the first few pages of the introduction explaining what to learn, he says a couple of things. By accurately judging supply and demand, you are able to decide the trend of the whole market and of certain stocks. Also, which stocks to buy and sell, and what is even more important, when to do so. Now, because this video is short, he concludes, or basically end up telling the students as the years went on, think of looking at supply and demand through the waves in the market, volume waves and price action waves. And he says, waves of the market furnish a clear insight into the changes in supply and demand. By learning to judge all sizes of market waves, you will gradually learn to spot the time when a rising market or rally and the time when the declining market or reaction is halted and about to reverse. These are the turning points. I encourage all Wyckoff logic lovers of this type of methodology is to read 3M, 4M and 5M of that publication. Now, what's he talking about? Let's have an example. Okay, the stock I want to show off is VLO. It's an energy stock, and we have VLO Daily Energy Corp. We have the red bars are down bars, the blue bars are up bars, and the volume's coloured the same. We have our indicator, custom indicator called RTT Trend Power OBV. It's standard settings. We also, this is a price and a volume indicator, so it's weighted by volume. Here we have 310 oscillator, which is adjusted to the 620 measure. It is an indicator promoted by Linda Bradford Rash. We also have the standard PPO, or the percentage price oscillator, 100, 1 and 1. Now the other trick is that the measurement of the height is the same. This allows, when you eyeball the indicators, that the presentation of the movement is equal. We don't want to have one indicator height larger than the other because it gives the impression of imbalance. We want it all to have the same because we're going to compare these two indicators. Now, what I said before, which is very important, if the RTT Trend Power OBV is a volume weighted indicator, so it's affected by how much volume is in the market relative to and with price. The indicators below are the control test. They are pure price indicators. So you can either use one or the other depending on which one you fancy. You've got the more sensitive PPO, the percentage price indicator, or you've got the sort of smoother, rounder 310 oscillator. Now the idea is, in a situation where you've got waves in the market, we've got a down wave, up wave, down wave, up wave, to say that you can see them moving here. And one of the laws we understand with Wyckoff is the law of cause and effect, and as you can see here, we've got a bit of a cause going on here. We have a bit of a selling climax, a bit of an automatic reaction, secondary test, another test of resistance, a bit of a sell-off, a breakout, a bit of another test here, probably forming a little stepping stone up here, what have you. Okay, so what we want to do, as I stated is that Richard Wyckoff said, study the waves and understand the waves, the action of price and volume. But we can see here the volume slumping a bit here. We want to know in the volume world, this thing we want to know, volume is high, we know when volume is medium or average, and volume is low. We want to know when the volume is low, it represents when the market is dull. and we want to know when the market is very, very active and how it affects price. The RTT trend power price oscillator and volume oscillator takes into account price movements, how fast and hard. It also weights it with volume, and that should be compared to a control test. You know, in science you have a placebo and you want to see what happens to the poor little rat when you give it placebo and then you give it a drug, so you want to know if there's an effect. Well, our placebo is the pure price oscillators. Here we have a pure price oscillator. One or the other one's more sensitive, it's the BPO, you know, more smooth than 310. And you want to compare it to the RTT trend power OBV. Here's a couple of, okay, that's the background. Now I want to show you off. Here we have a sell-off, which is pretty much equal to the rally up. So we've got like a V reversal. The difference is the volume is much lighter. So you're going through, 50 charts a night, or you're scanning through on the weekend, you want to see which charts are looking attractive. Here we notice in our RTT trend power V, we've got a slump. It doesn't really go past zero, so it's very minor on the volume weighting or pushing it down. But on the price action, we can easily see here that the momentum of the pure price is a lot steep. So this one goes below zero. So you see how the 310 goes below zero quite deeply, and so does the BPO. So the point about it is that here we have a divergence between the RTT trend power OBV price volume indicator and the pure price indicator. So when you're scanning up and down these indicators and you see, oh, that's hardly gone down, but that's gone down a lot, that must mean volume is light in a downswing. That is very bullish. And you notice the cause pattern and the other Wyckoff ingredients by doing a study, saying, oh, I'm very interested in that. A lot of people would be disturbed by how far that fell. But as a Wyckoffian, you go, there's no real selling pressure here. And you buy. You'd probably be buying around here. You don't buy down there because it could keep on falling. You want to have price actually go your way some way. So if you miss it there, you're buying the breakout. And if you missed it there, whoops, you're buying a test. Because it's obviously going to go a little bit higher. Another thing you can note is that sometimes we have divergence where the volume indicator has a lesser reaction than the price action. Sometimes you get an equal reaction. For example, here we have price slump quite dramatically, and RTT OPV falls down, and so does the momentum oscillator. Well, actually, quite frankly, the momentum oscillator fell quite hard, so that is still a bit bullish because the volume oscillator didn't fall as hard. So the volume really wasn't that bad on the downside because there's probably quite a few up bars here with good volume slowing it down. So that's bullish. On the RTT trend power OBV, decision points are -15 to buy, -0 to buy, and +15 to consider when the market's very strong. And if you're short, it's the other way around. If the market's very bearish, it's +15 to go short, or 0 to go short, or if it's very aggressive, it's -15. So these are the thresholds to consider when you make it a signal. So when the market falls on the RTT trend power OBV, and it doesn't really quite go to -15, that's pretty bullish, quite frankly. And obviously when market rallies, you really want to see it shoot past +15 and go higher like we have here. Here we have a weak rally. See that? So quite frankly, I probably would call that equal. So here's the 310 momentum, right? We've got a weak rally up. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's just a pop. Momentum signals that. And as I said before, because we've got the indicators set to the same height, when we eyeball the chart, we can say, yes, this is the same length of string, you might say. So here's an equal reaction with the RTT trend power and the 310 momentum, the price. And if you were looking at the PPOs, pretty much the same. Quite frankly, I like the 310 better than the PPO. And there's an example where it's the same. We go, okay, well, it's an equal reaction, so it doesn't give us much hints. Neutrality there. Here's a situation where we've got quite strong momentum. Whoops. Quite strong momentum up with price, which is all very good. But the volume isn't that great because there's quite a lot of selling going on, these red bars here. So therefore, yes, it's a rally. Yes, you could have made money, but by coffee and logic, you'd be a little bit cautious of that. And that's probably why we had this pretty, the selling was coming in. People were putting some float back in the market, and eventually had a pretty mediocre rally and it sold off. Okay? And in this particular case, we've got a pretty handsome rally up to here. And as you can see, RTT trend bar ABV supports that with the volume going up. Lots of blue bars on the up. And once again, we have a minor slump here. That's that's strength. This is a perfect Wyckoff slump. Looks great. And a minor slump here. And you can see how the momentum changed quite dramatically. So it's still bullish. Scroll down a bit more. Yeah. What we do see is the momentum fades off a bit up here, which is understandable after a big move. But it's still very strong. See how the RTT trend power OBV. So quite frankly, this is probably I would look at another buy here, or take some sort of position, because the RTT trend power OBV is very strong above the plus 15. And coming back down to zero again. There's nothing to say that the strength is taken out of this market. We've probably got a bit of a stepping stone forming up here. Another little. We've had a cause here, a breakout, a little test, forming a stepping stone. The volume of the pressure of the RTT trend power BV support is very strong, and we see a price momentum weakness, but the volume's very light. So there's no reason why we wouldn't consider continuing to be bullish here. And also I think that's a new 52-week high. So nothing wrong with this chart. So the point about it is you can use a volume-weighted indicator, our customized RTT trend power BV, with a control test or placebo of price momentum. There's one called PPO, or the 310 adjusted to the 620 level, to help you measure the strength and weakness of the waves. Waves can be, you can see divergence, a bullish divergence which we have here. You can see equal waves like we've had here, of price and volume action with price momentum, or you can see poor momentum swings, and obviously you can see strength. The other thing I just want to mention is that cause and effect is a major part of watching price action, and it must be used when you're studying the waves. The other law is effort versus results. For example, here we had, I've just highlighted last point, a lot of effort, a lot of volume going in here, and a lot of effort, no result going lower. So you can see how the volume was pushed down, was actually quite large, just there, equal to that. Look how much action you got here. The price fell from here to there with all that effort. We've got some effort going in here, but it's not really going. That's bullish as well. So you can see the momentum is weak. So when you get a situation where this moves down much lower, but the price momentum is poor, that means there's a lot of effort going down. Quite frankly, that is simple absorption. Absorption by the bulls of the selling, and eventually we see the release here and the continued push up. That was the first sign. And the other thing in the Wyckoff logic we had here, of course, there was a selling climax, automatic reaction, and this turned out to be a secondary test of absorption, break up to resistance, a light volume pullback, very bullish, and then the markup test. And all the volume rules and all the weighting was easily shown off by our RTT trend RBV compared to a control test. Very, very helpful in judging waves. I use this tool quite a lot in our RTT step scanner. I set up with the steps tool, and I scan for the waves that are weak, strong, and different versions. I want to see the stock that's something when I get a surprise like this, I go, oh, haven't seen this chart before. I see the cause, I see the selling climax, and I'm weighing up the evidence of Wyckoff. You need more than one fact to get a trade with the Wyckoff logic. You just can't say, oh, there's a low volume wave, let's go and buy for it. Can't do that. You've got to know, is there a cause there? Do we have any other evidence of demand? Yes, we've got a selling climax, we've got a secondary test. Once you build up the evidence, you can take that to the judge and you'll get a win. Thanks very much for watching.